Hello everybody, I am Jaap Hollander, a psychologist from the Netherlands. I teach provocative coaching, provocative therapy, and this is the second of a series of videos on advanced techniques of provocative coaching. So in the first video I discussed what basic provocative coaching is in order to distinguish advanced from basic. And several advanced techniques have to do with pattern recognition. It's very important as a provocative coach that you recognize a core pattern in either the problem or a series of problems, or maybe even the personality of your client. This is the difference between targeted provocative coaching and what we call shooting at everything that moves. So a lot of beginning provocative coaches don't have a real direction in their work. They just respond to basically every last thing that the client has said, and that doesn't have the same power as a focused provocative approach has. However, of course, that makes it necessary to be able to recognize a core pattern. And we have developed several advanced provocative techniques for identifying a core pattern to focus your challenges on. One of them, for instance, is the provocative core finding technique that we have adapted from NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And the one I want to discuss now is really inspired by our old mentor Frank Farrelly, who, as you may know, was a very Catholic person, raised as a good Catholic, Irish Catholic. And he was sometimes talking about sin. Sin, mortal sin, eternal sin, etc. So we decided to use the 7 mortal sins as a diagnostic tool in provocative coaching, as a tool for pattern recognition. How does that work? Well, you may know that the mortal sins are pride, having a extra positive, extremely positive self-image. So, okay, so now here you have been working half your life, giving people a better self-image, a more positive self-image, and presto, suddenly it's a mortal sin. It might be interesting, I never knew this either, but I read the other day that if you give psychological tests, then most serial killers have a very positive self-image. So pride is mortal sin number 1. Then we have envy, begrudging other people their good life or their richness or whatever they have that you would like. Greed, wanting more and more and more and more. Well, especially in this day and age, greed, in a sense, maybe in terms of information, technology, could be a very good mortal sin to find as a pattern in people. Then we have laziness, we have anger, we have gluttony. Well, I'm certainly no stranger to that. And then, last but not least, we have luxuria, lust, inappropriate sexual desire. Although I think the church frowns on a lot of sexual desire, but especially this naked lust for women or men you're not married to is looked upon as a mortal sin. Well, there's plenty of information on mortal sin, deadly sin on the internet, but this is the set that you usually find. And what do we do with this? In a situation where the provocative coach has trouble sort of pinpointing what is something to focus their attention to, they might use the 7 mortal sins as a diagnostic tool. This is all, maybe you know this, in the framework of what we call fishing and baking. Frank Fairley called it running up the flag and see if the patient salutes it. In a sense, you are throwing in a lot of challenges and you're observing more or less carefully what the patient or the client responds to emotionally. And so you have been doing this for a while, but you don't get bites, you don't get the the emotional response to your provocations. So then the next step you could do is go, well, here we have these mortal sins. Your problem or your response to your problem, which mortal sin could that be? Is it more a matter of pride? Is it more a matter of envy? Is it more greed? Is it laziness? Is it anger? Is it gluttony? Is it lust? Of course, you go over this a lot slower than I'm doing now, but this is basically what you do. Don't worry if you forget a few. You can sort of discuss with the client, well, what were the other three mortal sins again? Do you know? Do you know anybody Catholic we can call to ask them? And then you have, together with the client, you choose one. So we'll say the client says it's greed. I always want more and more and more. Even if I bought the latest Macintosh half a year ago, if the new ones comes out, I have to have it. Okay, so together you decide which mortal sin it is. And then you, of course, as a provocative coach, you can probably imagine this, will go, well, isn't that a good thing? Isn't greed a good thing, really? Isn't it great? You know, greed makes the world go round, right? So you go, well, maybe you should be more greedy. And so what else could you? So you go, basically, you can do the whole do some more matrix on the mortal sin and see how the client responds. Well, if they don't respond at all, as a good provocative therapist, go, well, that was not such a good idea, let's do something else. If they do respond, you expand and expand and expand, and you demand in all kinds of different manners, being dictated by the or organized by the do some more of that matrix, that sin is a good thing and virtue is a bad thing. So until of course, at some point, the client is going to protest. No, I don't want to be that greedy. I want to be less greedy. So no, don't say that. Don't say that. You might stop the world because we just said, greed makes the world turn. And what if everybody was virtuous and non-greedy and, oh yeah, you can have my stuff, you'd be lying in the gutter. So I have to protect you from that. Or whatever form you want to use there. And then, of course, sooner or later, well, the client will either protest, no, I don't want to be greedy. What did you say? I don't want to be greedy anymore. Or they will accept it. So, well, yeah, well, basically, maybe I'm just a bit of a greedy person, who cares? Also good. Resistance is good. Acceptance is also good. So then you turn around and say, okay, so finally, and this could be after 20 minutes or half an hour or maybe even 2 sessions, finally you have convinced me. I now believe that you want to be non-greedy. You want to develop the virtue of charity. But if you want to be a charitous person, I suggest then you go all the way. Especially since you've been so greedy, it's very important that now you make a firm statement. So I suggest your house, for instance. Who shall we give it to? So then you go into the opposite until again the clients are protesting. No. He doesn't want to be that charitous. He doesn't want to be that ungreedy. So go, okay, well, I'm confused. What do you want? And of course, we want the client, in the true Aristotelian way, want to find a nice middle position, the golden midpoint between 2 sins. One sin then would be greed, and another one would be self-denial, and sort of have a realistic, semi-greed, semi-charitous position. Again, in the thought of Aristotle, where the virtue is the middle between two sins. And with that, I leave you for this video, and thank you for watching. And in the next video, I will discuss another advanced technique of provocative coaching.